why trust breaks down in relationships, two of the biggest reasons. The second thing is the biggest difference between betrayals and everyday trust violations. We're going to go through step by step how to rebuild trust with your partner, from honesty down to consistent following through with what you say. And then we're going to talk about how to create safety and openness within your relationship again. So, we are in for a treat, or at least I feel like you guys are in for a treat. But today I'm really going to be getting into some of the nitty gritty questions that I get, especially as a couples therapist, when it comes to how to rebuild when you've lost that trust within your relationship with your partner. So if you have a partner with you and they want to watch this with you, great, even better. But if you're by yourself wanting to watch this, that's fine too. If you guys have any questions while I do this live, please let me know in the comments below or the chat below, and I will answer them after the live. Well, after I'm done with my review for today during the live. So let's get started. First, we're going to talk about the two biggest reasons why trust breaks within relationships. So we have betrayals of trust, and those are the large scale violations of trust within a relationship, right? So you think of infidelity, hiding finances from your partner, lies told over and over again. And the reason why this is so damaging is because it completely breaks the core belief that we, you, me, I, us have of that person. And the core belief is I can count on you, I can trust you, you're going to be there for me. If you say you're going to do something, I know I have the confidence that you're going to do it. It completely erodes that belief. And as you can imagine, if you don't have that trust anymore, it's difficult to build upon that, right? So, the core beliefs, by the way, if you don't know what they are, they're essentially deeply ingrained beliefs, thoughts, ideas that we have, not only about ourselves, but the people around us, the world around us. And so they're very, very deeply ingrained in us. And once those core beliefs are tainted, broken, damaged, the hurt is immense and it's hard to come back from that, right? So then we have that was the first. So we have betrayals of trust, large scale violations of someone's trust. Then we have everyday erosions of trust, and those are small, repeated lies or ways in which we lose trust in our partner, right? Being let down, even if in small ways, repeatedly over and over again. But over time, all those small instances of betrayals of trust, they end up doing just as much harm, if not more, than large scale violations. So, examples of this is maybe promising to call, check in, but forget it. This is something small, you would think, but over time, you can imagine how your partner would feel like, okay, well, they always say they're going to call whenever they get to a destination, or they say they're going to include me in this, but they never actually do. And for you, you may not think twice about it. But for your partner, it's just confirming, I don't really matter in this moment. So another example could be maybe saying, oh, I'm going to be home at this time. You show up 2 hours later, and there's not really an explanation or an understanding as to why you showed up late. Another example, dismissing your partner's feelings. Uh, they share something with you, maybe that was a little bit vulnerable or something about their day, and your response is, oh, well, you're overreacting, or maybe you're thinking too much about it. Although for you, that may not seem like a bad thing, right? I'm giving them another alternative. It still makes a person feel like their feelings don't matter, like their feelings and emotions and thoughts about the situation, they're this small. They don't matter. And so over time, that erodes trust. And the reason why this hurts is because you're sending the message to your partner that your needs don't count. Your needs aren't as important. Your needs don't really matter. And so over time, that creates resentment and that creates that emotional distance between you and your partner. Now that we've gotten through the two ways in which trust is lost and erodes over time, large scale violations, but also small, consistent ways, let's go into how to actually rebuild that trust with your partner. Now, number one, I'm going to give you 4 steps, by the way. But the first one is full honesty and transparency. The first one is usually where most people and most couples, they get stuck because what is not necessarily a lie to you may be different to someone else. And so when I say full honesty, full transparency, crystal clear. There's no room for, oh, well, I interpret what honesty means differently than you. No, full honesty, full transparency. There's no hiding, there's no secrets. Definitely not about big things, but also not about small things. And so a lot of times we feel as though, well, this isn't significant. It doesn't really matter. That's not actually the point. The point is that you're working on proving to your partner and also yourself, but your partner, that you can be trusted. You're going to do what you said you were going to do. And small lies are still just as harmful because the trust isn't there. You're trying to rebuild that. So, what this looks like in real time, in practice, maybe for some couples, they share like passcodes to your phone. Maybe they share social media access. This doesn't work for all couples that are rebuilding trust. It works for some. So you have to figure out, and this is where couples therapy comes in, but you have to figure out for you and your partner, okay, what's going to work for us? Do we need to share social media access? Not that we're going to use it, but you know what? We're going to have each other's passwords and you can use it if you want, you don't have to. Or we're going to have each other's passcode on the phone and you can have access to it if you want to, but you don't have to. Every couple is different. But again, if you're coming from a place of, I've lost trust in you, you've hurt me and betrayed my trust. I don't see you the same. If you're coming from that level of hurt, then for some couples, sharing social media, passcodes to phone and computers, that's helpful. For others, they feel like, you know what? If I have to go that far, I don't want it. I don't want it. And neither is right or wrong. It just depends on what is going to work for you and your partner. Another way that full transparency and honesty is is by being upfront about your mistakes, upfront about your choices before you get caught. So remember earlier when we were saying, okay, well, it's just a little lie. What we're working on is, even if it's a little lie in your mind, it's still a lie. And if you're working on rebuilding that trust, then it is your responsibility to say, you know what, this is what happened. Bringing that to your partner who's already struggling with learning how to trust you is going to be so helpful. It's not that they won't have a reaction, they probably will, and they have every right to. It is about them seeing little by little that you are a person of integrity, that even though it's difficult for you to share this, it's humbling for you to share this, even though for you it may seem small, you're still going to go to your partner because you love, you care for them, you give them that respect of, I love and care about you, and I want to rebuild this trust. So before you find out, I'm gonna tell you and I'm gonna be upfront with you, even if it's hard for me to do so. There's more respect in that, even if your partner gets mad, even if your partner has feelings about it, that's fine. That builds that reliance and consistency for your partner to know, okay, even if it's hard, they're gonna tell me. They're going to include me in this. And this is what you want. So, another thing that we can do, which is step two in rebuilding this trust, is consistency. And this is a key word here, right? Consistency over time. And consistency is being reliable in your words, reliable in your actions, not just say something, but actually follow through with your behaviors. And most people have trouble with this because it's difficult to say, oh, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to show up. I'm going to be there. I'm going to fix this. you fill in the blank. But then to actually follow through, even when you don't feel like it, even when you're tired, that's difficult for a lot of people to do. But that's exactly part of what your partner needs in order to rebuild that trust. So, what does this look like? Okay, well, if you say you're going to call, you call. If you say you're going to show up and be somewhere, you show up. You're there. If you agree to go to couples counseling together, you're the one who calls, books the appointment. Before the session ends, you're booking the next appointment, getting your calendars out, syncing it. You're taking the initiative. Because again, that's going to show your partner they're here. They're doing the work. They want this. They want a relationship. They want to rebuild. And it's not easy because that means you have to follow through, even on small promises. But again, what does this build? This builds credibility. And most people don't want to do this because it takes time, it takes patience, and it's something that maybe they're not used to doing. And most people on the flip side, right? If they've done the betraying, if they're the offender, they feel like, well, why am I doing all this work? This wasn't a requirement before. It is now. The trust is broken. That's part of the requirement. And so sometimes they struggle with actually being consistent over time without being consistent for a little bit and then saying, okay, where's the fruits of my of what I've sowed? Where's the benefit? Where's the output? Right? And by output, I mean, are you trusting me again? Are we back again? Are we good? You've got to drop that. It's got to be something that you do consistently over time, not just for the relationship, but a change within you. Because I don't know about you, but me, I can smell when things are not really genuine. And I'm sure most of you can. If it's not genuine or coming from a genuine place, you can sense that, right? It's more like this is performative. And I feel that it's performative. And therefore, I really don't trust it. So, something that I wanted to note that can kind of help if you are more of a visual person, right? You go off of examples. Think about it like a bank. The more you deposit is the more that you build that credibility, the more that you build that trust, the more that you do what you say you're going to do. The less you do that, the more small lies they catch you in, the more of the ways that you betray that trust. That's a withdrawal. You're taking from the bank and you're depleting the bank account. You want to get in the habit of making deposits, not withdrawals. So I hope that example helps. Let's go to number 3. We have 4 total, so we're on number 3. 3 is empathy and accountability. This is the biggest one, and it's sometimes the most difficult to do. We think we're being understanding, we think we're being empathetic. We're not always doing that. So, what does this mean? What does this look like? Well, if we're starting with the definition, it means acknowledging the hurt that you've caused, keywords, without minimizing and without defending. So, we can understand why we do what we do, right? And we can justify it. We can say, well, if you hadn't done this, then maybe I wouldn't have reacted that way. Well, if we would have been able to do this, I wouldn't have done that. Well, I'm triggered. Well, this is part of my past. Well, I never saw healthy relationships growing up. And those things could all be true, but it still doesn't hold yourself accountable to your partner. So when you're able to say, okay, I know that I hurt you when I lied. I know that I betrayed your trust when I acted in these ways. And I see the damage that it has caused you. I see the damage that it has caused our family, your sense of safety with me, your trust with me. And point, period, blank. There's no, but this is why, or this is where I was coming from, or here was my thought process. You want to remain fully accountable and you want to be able to be empathetic. What does that look like? What does the empathy look like? That's the second half to this. That is listening to your partner's pain without rushing them to just get it over with. What most people don't like to do is acknowledge where they went wrong, apologize. That's difficult enough as it is. But to actually sit there and listen to your partner's experience of how you hurt them, the trust that they've lost in you, the sense of safety that's not there for them anymore based on your actions, that is one of the most difficult things to do. You got to sit there. You have to listen. And how they explain it may not be how you understand it or how you see it. But at the end of the day, that's part of the process. That's being empathetic and understanding of, okay, I know that I've hurt you and I acknowledge this and I am sorry. And being specific with you, I'm sorry. But next comes listening to your partner's pain. And sometimes the most difficult thing is your partner will need to talk about this experience, their pain, more than once, more than twice, more than 3 times. You get what I'm saying? It's going to be more than just a one time conversation. They're going to have moments where you guys are good. You guys have worked through things and that work is difficult, but it's possible. And then all of a sudden, they get triggered. Something comes up for them. If you're coming into that saying, well, we've already talked about this, what do you mean? That's not empathetic. That's not practicing empathy. You have to have the strength to sit there and say, okay, I want to listen to you. Talk to me about what came up for you. Not judging it, not trying to solve it for them, listening. That does a world of wonders in rebuilding trust. And if more couples knew this and did this, things would be a little different. So I want to talk to you about studies on forgiveness. And some studies on forgiveness, they actually show that empathy from the person who did the hurt, right, or who caused the hurt, empathy from them was a key predictor of whether or not their partner who was hurt could eventually forgive them. I want you to focus on the word empathy. The research shows, research on forgiveness, that empathy from the one who caused the hurt towards their partner was a key indicator and a key predictor that over time, the partner that had been hurt could eventually forgive. So I just want you to keep that in the back of your mind when you think that this point number 3, doesn't count for something. It counts for a lot. So if we're talking about number 4, we're talking about creating new agreements. And one thing that's important to note is that most couples, they usually, the person who does the hurt, right? They usually say, okay, well, I want to get back to where we were. I want to get back to where we trusted each other and we loved each other. Sometimes that's not possible. Most times, you're working after the betrayal, you're working towards getting to a space where you both create a new destination of trust. Because when you're first getting to know someone, or there's the foundation of your relationship is we have trust for each other, and there's no history of betrayal. There's no history of large violations of trust, right? That's not at our foundation as a couple. Then you sort of have this childlike trust within the relationship. Once there's betrayal and hurt, that goes away. And it's almost impossible to go back to where you were as a couple. But that's not always necessary. If you're working on wanting to rebuild this, you create a new foundation and a new space of trust. Again, if you want to, you don't have to. Now, what does creating new agreements look like? Well, that may look like both individuals setting certain check in times. When you're apart, maybe there's a partner who travels, or both partners travel, or there's a long distance, or they're just busy schedules. There's a consistent check in between the both of you. Again, you say you're going to call, you call. You say you're going to show up, you show up. Next would be to agree on boundaries. Boundaries when it comes to friendships, finances, social media, right? You need to have clear boundaries of what's going to work in these areas specifically when it comes to your relationship. Why? Because sometimes if there's been betrayal and hurt and you decide you want to work on it, friends, family, they're well meaning, but sometimes their opinions override what you both want to do. So there has to be an agreement and boundary setting of, okay, what are we going to allow moving forward when it comes to friendships, when it comes to family members, when it comes to our social media accounts, when it comes to our finances? Where do we stand? That open communication has to be there. Another thing could be weekly or bi-weekly, monthly, however works for you guys, dates, times where you are just with each other. No kids, no extended family, just you both. And for every couple, it's going to look different, but you have to have that because it sets you apart as having your relationship be a priority, your marriage be a priority, right? Now, rebuilding trust, it isn't just about fixing the past, it's about creating a safer future. And a safer future requires trust, requires acknowledgement, forgiveness, apologizing,